the entropy illusion vulnerability. Now this one, there's no associated exploit with it. It's just kind of an interesting thing to note about Solidity and the Ethereum, not really Solidity, but the Ethereum blockchain specifically, right? All transactions on the Ethereum blockchain are deterministic state transition operations. So what that means is that there's no randomness. They're all predetermined, right? So every transaction modifies the global state of the Ethereum ecosystem, and it does so in a calculable way with no uncertainty, right? So there's no uncertainty whatsoever, right? So this ultimately means that inside the blockchain ecosystem, there's no source of randomness, right? So there's no rand function. If you're familiar with other programming languages, there's pretty much always a way to generate a random value, right? Normally like some built-in rand function. So that does not exist at all whatsoever in Solidity, right? So achieving decentralized entropy or randomness is a well-established problem, and many ideas have been proposed to address this. Now, this blog post is quite old, so I am not quite sure if this has been rectified at this point. Entropy, Solidity. Maybe this has been addressed now. I'm sure there's a lot of projects that are targeted with fixing this issue, and now that it's like about 4 years later from when this post was written, this might not be true anymore. Maybe they have figured it out. I'm sure there are some ways to do it. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like this here, right? Just a simple Google search. There are some things you can import in order to get this randomness into Solidity, right? So people have created libraries and things like that. But, I mean, here in this book, right, it's talking about the entropy illusion as well. And this is from this year. So perhaps it looks like a copy-paste of, this was a copy-paste of this, maybe? I'm not sure. Interesting. Okay, from Mastering Ethereum. Now, this was written on February 11th of this year, right? So it looks like this could still be an issue. Let me know in the comments section if this is still something that you can't do in the language on the Ethereum blockchain, right? But basically the issue is, right, okay, there's no randomness function, right, because everything's deterministic. So what do you do when you need to use a rand function, right? So, for example, if you have a decentralized application associated with, say, gambling, right? Fundamentally, gambling requires uncertainty, something to bet on, which makes building a gambling system on the blockchain, deterministic system, rather difficult, right? So where do you get the uncertainty from? Basically is the issue. So for example, blackjack or roulette, right? And they talk about a preventative technique, or they talk about Vitalik Buterin, something about a blog post he wrote, but that one's not even online anymore. So it's kind of interesting. There's a real world example, PRNG contracts, right? So this guy here wrote a blog post after he analyzed 3,649 live smart contracts. So if you're not familiar with Entropy, the way they calculate that is just with a massive sample size, right? And to determine if there's any kind of pattern, or is it truly random, right? Is the value generated true random, right? So it involves analyzing a bunch of samples. So that's basically sounds like what they're doing here. Which are using some sort of pseudo-random number generator, right? And found 43 contracts which could be exploited. So basically how this randomness was written, I think, was not truly random, basically. And this post was from 2018. So this is the tricky part, right? Some people have written libraries to try to get randomness, but it's not true random, which has led to some issues in the past here, right? So that's basically the take home. because the source of entropy must be external to the blockchain. So I would be curious to know if some of the libraries we found earlier, if they were using external data, maybe using an Oracle. I think I did see the word Oracle in this blog post somewhere, right? An Oracle service like Chainlink to pull in outside external data onto the blockchain. Yeah, so source of entropy randomness must be external to the blockchain. This can be done amongst peers with systems such as commit reveal, or via changing the trust model to a group of participants such as RANDAO. This can be done via a centralized entity, which acts as a randomness oracle. Okay. So block variables in general, there are some exceptions, should not be used to source entropy as they can be manipulated by miners. Okay, that's interesting to know. Okay, yeah, so you have to, if you want randomness, you have to pull it in externally through an oracle right now. So, of course, that could bring in its own issues, right? Because you got to trust that the central authority, right, the central location that you're getting that randomness from is truly random, right? And they're not going to manipulate anything. So, yeah, pretty interesting, right? Normally, in most programming languages, you just have, good entropy on a random function where you can trust that it's randomly generating a value. But, with the Ethereum blockchain, just the nature of the blockchain, Solidity is not able to have that, it seems like. So you have to get that off-chain data from off-chain data, right? So very interesting stuff here. No actual exploit code for this, but definitely something that's good to know. And the next one we'll be covering external contract referencing. But if you want to catch up on this series, maybe you didn't watch all the videos, you're just clicking into this one. You can watch them in any order you want, by the way. They're in no particular order. But go ahead and check out the playlist on screen now, particularly the ones with exploit in them or vulnerability, things like that, right? Where we're actually looking at vulnerabilities. But if you do want to learn some of the crypto stuff and some of the investment strategies, no financial advice, of course, that's also in this playlist. But I'll just see you guys right over in those videos. Thanks for watching.